site of an Indian village, and this is where the name Indian Island arose. It is said that these Indians lived here from the year 500 BC. Their tribal name was the Wiyot, and the boatyard itself was a ceremonial gathering place for all these Indians. If you look along the shore, you'll notice a bunch of white shells made up of clam and oyster shells deposited by the Wiyot over hundreds of years. And it is said to be 9 to 10 feet deep and cover over a square acre of area. Now, a few years back, the Wiyots raised enough money to purchase this section of island back from the Bill K family. And right after that, the city of Eureka gave the whole north end of the island back to the Wiyot tribe, along with the Wiyot tribe. Now, this first building we're approaching, the one with the dormancy there, believe it or not, was the first Baptist church on Indian Island. Now, 6 families live here year-round. They're a hardy group of people because the only way to and from this island is by boat. The only modern convenience they have is the telephone. They have to pump their own water and generate their own electricity out here on the island. And you might say to yourself on a day like today, well, it doesn't look so bad to me. Well, I tell you what, come back in February when the wind's blowing at 80 knots, it's pouring down rain, you just ran out of coffee, and you have to run to the store. It gets a little challenging at that point. Now, this unique structure we're now approaching is a private residence built in 1972, but it sits on the approximate location of the old Sequoia Yacht Club, which is one of the main attractions here in Humboldt Bay in the early 1900s. It had an outdoor heated saltwater swimming pool, tennis courts, dance floors, dining rooms, and boat rentals. And this dock is the old A dock. A dock was used years ago in the timber industry where they exported millions upon millions of board feet of timber throughout the world. But in the 1980s, the timber industry failed and these docks were abandoned. In the 1990s, the city of Eureka and the Harbor District spent $19 million to dredge in front of docks like these around our bay to make us a more viable seaport. And about 4 years ago, we started getting ships in. We've had 2 ships here this summer. These perform repair work or maintenance work, including reconstruction and demolition of docks here. This interesting blue vessel we're now approaching is an oil skimmer. She stands at the ready in case we ever have an oil spill here on the bay. The vessel in front of it, the Recon 1, will run out there, skim or curtain off the oil spill, and then the blue vessel will skim the oil off the water's surface right into her own hull. so they can find proper disposal for it. And this next vessel up, this big gray one, the Fish Wish, is what's known as a dragger or drag boat. Those two steel doors on either side of her stern will take that net deep to the bottom for ground fish. Now, prior to 2003, Humboldt Bay had over 40 drag boats working out of it. Today, we have less than 8. And this is because of a federal buyback program that took the permits away from these vessels to help keep the ground fish from being eliminated. And coming up here on our starboard bow is the fishing vessel Stephanie. Prior to the buyback, she was the oldest operating drag boat in the United States. Her fish and game number was 61. Today, these numbers reach into the hundreds of thousands. Stephanie started her career in 1917 as the international number 3, and then in later years was bought by a famous fish buyer by the name of Tom Lazio and renamed the Stephanie after his daughter. 3 generations of the Engbergs fished the Stephanie, but when they sold her, she was abandoned. The good news is she... And coming up off our starboard bow again, this great big gray vessel is the 1091. She's the last surviving landing craft infantry from the Second World War. She's also served in the Korean theater and has fished the Bering Sea. Today she is owned by the Humboldt Bay Naval Air and Sea Museum. This is a group of dedicated old guys who come down here 2 or 3 times a week. They drink coffee and eat jelly donuts and tell stories to one another. But in the meantime, they're doing a remarkable job on the preservation and restoration of that old craft. When their flags are up, the coffee is on, come on down, they love to show off their old ship. And these interesting vessels you see off our starboard here are oyster barges. The Mary Elizabeth there is a $3 million oyster barge. This is the Coast Seafood Company. They're the largest oyster company on the West Coast. Good friends, good neighbors, environmentally healthy, happy, and strong. Now bringing in more Kumamoto oysters to the port of Kumamoto, Japan itself. But by far, up there on the hill, one of Eureka's most noted attractions, the Victorian Carson Mansion. Said to be Queen of Victorian design, built by lumber baron William Carson in the late 1880s. Stands at the head of 2nd Street. It is said that it took 100 men 1 year to build the mansion, and that every type of commercially cut lumber can be found in it. It's well worth your while to go by and see the mansion. Today it is a private club known as the Ingomar, named after William Carson's favorite play, Ingomar the Barbarian. And now you see these 3 fishing vessels off our starboard side here. They are in Humboldt Bay for the first time in the history of Humboldt Bay. These are squid boats. Now, apparently, our waters have warmed up enough off the coast to allow the migration of the squid so that these folks can come up here and fish them right off our coast.
Probably wasn't cleaning birds around the boat.
Up next, this is the United States Coast Guard cutter Barracuda. She was specifically designed for the Pacific Northwest. She's made entirely out of aluminum and has speeds up to 45 miles per hour. If you look at the back of the boat, or the stern there, you'll notice a large door that actually opens up to allow a daughter ship here. She has both men and women serving aboard. If you look out there on Woodsy Island, you'll see a tall, white, skinny building with a red roof on it. That is the Table Bluff Lighthouse, which used to be located out at Table Bluff to help guide the mariners into the entrance bar. But she was replaced by more modern means of navigation and moved here to her new home by the Humboldt Bay Maritime Museum in 1983. Those are the guys on the Madeline. Those are the guys that bring in all those great, big, beautiful pink shrimp. They're a shrimp boat. And last but certainly not least, out there on the very end of Woodsy Island, you'll see a beautiful bronze statue of a fisherman built by local artist Dick Crane. For the Commercial Fishermen's Wives Association of Humboldt, he is a memorial to the fishermen who lost their lives at sea.